happy Monday, and welcome to Making Waves with Moanna Adams. I'm your host, Moanna, a teenage girl with a lot to say and a lot more to learn. Today, we are talking about growing up in the film industry with Chloe Adona, and she's going to introduce herself and tell us all about who she is and what she does.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm 16 years old. I'm a sophomore in high school. I live in Georgia. I do acting, singing, and songwriting. I've been on Stranger Things as number 9. I was on Renfield as Mandy, and I released 2 singles.
And we have known each other since we were, I want to say, kindergarten and first grade-ish. Something like
Yeah,
that.
we used to
Crazy
dance.
long. Yes, we grew up dancing together, and we're going to talk about that. But we're going to start with our segments, which is first current obsession, and this is something about or in your life you're currently loving. And this week, mine is fall fashion. Specifically, the Victoria's Secret show was last night. I watched that. It was so good. I was so excited to see Kate and Lila Moss because they're two of my favorites. And also, just getting to wear boots again, getting to wear sweaters and mini skirts, one of my favorite combos. So I'm very excited about fall fashion.
I love that. I love that you watch the Victoria Secret shows. That's something I've been wanting to do, but I just haven't had the time to do.
It was live last night for the first time since I think 2018. It was so good. It was really amazing, and the production was insane.
Oh, I bet.
So what is
Okay.
your current obsession?
Right now, I'm currently obsessed with the app Laps. Um, I have been using this app since like last year, but I'm still obsessed with it. And it's kind of an underground app, but it's mainly like a social media for posting photos and for photo dumps. And you just take photos of whatever you see is cute out in the world, and then you get to post it without a care in the world. And the app is focused on living in the present moment and capturing enjoyable moments, not for like likes or followers, but just for pure memories. And I love the app so much. I've been putting so many people onto it, and yeah, you should get it if you don't have it.
I love that. I am definitely going to download that later tonight. I am all about making social media a tool and a good space and a
Yeah.
positive space, so I love that. Let's do our high tide, and this is a motivational, inspirational, or self help recommendation. And this week I have a creator, and I'm going to say her name wrong, but it's Isabel Laron. She is a business owner, and you'll probably have seen some of her posts before because she's amazing at what she does. Her company, I think, is like social media content creation and management for creators and that kind of agency. She did the viral video of the interns at Paris Fashion Week that like run into each other, if you've seen that. And she's one of my favorites. She's a huge inspiration of mine, and I love her energy.
Ooh, I love that. Is she a creator on YouTube?
She does Instagram, TikTok, and I think she does YouTube too.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I have 2 YouTubers for my high tide today. Um, I have Tam Carr, and her name is, I don't know how, I think I'm pronouncing it right, but Tam Carr. She basically just talks about confidence, mindset. She has a vlog channel, and I just love the way she explains her ideas, and she organizes it so well. It's so easy to understand. And my other YouTuber for my high tide today is Scarlett Fraser, and she is so girly, Victoria's Secret-esque. She has such a nice vibe and aesthetic, and she does like vlogs, but she also does like breakdowns of it girls from TV shows and movies, and like how to be more like them in your own way. And I just love watching them in the mornings, like while I'm getting ready or when I'm bored.
I love that. Tamkar, me and her, oh my goodness, we spend a lot of time together. I watch her stuff almost every night and sometimes in the morning when I'm getting ready too. She's my favorite. And I'll have to check out Scarlett. I probably have seen a few of her videos, but I don't remember her name, so I'll have to look it up.
Okay, yeah.
So let's get into the episode, and we're going to start with exploring your story. So, what drew you to acting at such a young age?
So I started dancing with Susan Chambers and performing in shows with my dance company. And then our dance teacher became an agent for acting. And after being exposed to TV and film through her, I just fell in love with that more real and grounded style of acting, opposed to the exaggerated acting that's needed for theater. But nonetheless, I still love and appreciate theater acting.
So, was there a specific moment that made you fall in love with performing?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think I've always been a drama queen and a lover of performing since I was like popped out of the womb. Um, Even when I was like 6 or 7, you would find me like in an Elsa dress singing "Let It Go" at a homeless shelter. Well, we would go over there, help them get some meals, and then I would perform for them while they ate. And that just like I just started doing extracurriculars like dancing that allowed me to express that passion for performance.
So, as you've grown in the industry, how has your experience changed?
Definitely with the auditions that I get from my agents. I went from getting a lot of like fun animated Disney style characters for auditions to being exposed to more grounded, real characters that I just got exposed to over the years. And yeah, that's one of the biggest changes that I've experienced as I've gotten older.
So, other than acting, you also sing a lot. What inspired your single villain, and what was the process like from writing to releasing?
So, okay, I wrote villain when I was in middle school. And I don't know if this is just me, but I think it goes for a lot of people. In middle school, I was having crazy identity crises and like I was having so many issues with finding friends and just finding an okay group of people that I feel comfortable around. And so, villain, my single, is about anyone can be the villain of your story. It's mainly about betrayal. And at the time, I was working on my craft for songwriting. And so, little 12-year-old me picked up a pen and wrote some melodies that correlated with what I was feeling and experiencing at the time. And it was really good because it was true to my heart at the time. And so, I brought that to a producer I was working with, and he helped me figure out chords with just the piano and help me finalize a melody. And then I brought that to some other producers I knew at the time, and they were based in LA. And at the time of producing the song, I was in and out of New Orleans filming Renfield. And so we had to do a virtual recording session. And over that whole session, we got the whole song produced. And then it wasn't that hard because I just had to give them my vocals, and they did an amazing job putting some cool sounds into the song. And then we marketed it and released it, and it was pretty amazing.
That is amazing. So, how was it recording online? Because most people probably picture like being in a studio in person.
Hmm.
How does that differ from when you're doing lots of online auditions now? I know are going on. How do you think that's affected you as you've grown?
Okay. There's definitely a certain set of skills that you have to have for auditioning in person. And that's just like, you really have to know your stuff because you only get one take. And it's not like if you mess up, you can redo it. There's a certain level of confidence that you have to have when going into in person auditions too, because it's about the impressions, the way you look at them, your body language, all of that's being observed in the in person audition. But throughout my whole career in acting, I actually haven't had that many in-person auditions. I My first audition was in person, and it was for a McDonald's commercial, and I could tell you that I was shaking in the knees. I was so nervous. But after a couple in-person auditions, it got easier. But when virtual self-tape auditions started rolling in for me, I you okay, and for the virtual auditions, there's a whole nother um, things you need to know, equipment that you need to have, and so that's just a good setup, knowing your lines, and just feeling comfortable in your own space at home to really execute the character to your best abilities. But I personally like both equally. I think having to play the part of confidence and like faking it till you make it in front of the casting directors in in-person auditions, that's really fun for me. That gets my adrenaline going. But also self-tapes are just convenient at home. So I know other people have their opinions, and one probably suits someone else a lot better, but yeah, that's basically it for the in-person and self-taped auditions.
In the industry, in acting or modeling, pretty much any kind of art that you have to audition for, There's always going to be rejection. How have you grown since you started when you were very young? How has that changed you as a person learning to deal with that rejection?
Yeah, rejection. In this industry, it's like almost your best friend. I've gotten rejected so many more times than I've gotten accepted or cast. And I've just had to learn how to not put so much value in getting a role. No matter how much I love it, no matter how much I think this role is fit for me, um, I've just started to learn how to audition and then forget. And if that role was meant for me, then it'll find me again. And I don't know if you're familiar with like the whole idea of like the law of detachment, but that definitely was something that I had to cultivate. Just the idea that what's meant for me will come for me, what's meant for me will find me in the industry. And that was actually a skill that has helped me even in my personal life.
I definitely agree. Detachment and learning to detach yourself from things has been something I've worked on the past few years, and it is such a freeing thing once you understand that. It's
Yeah,
you're just able to let go and go with the flow more and know that what's meant for you is coming and what's not will leave.
yeah. Because once I do the audition, it's out of my control. And if I did my best, I know that I did my best. And that's all that there is to it.
I love that. So, what other challenges have you faced, especially as you've transitioned from being a child actor to a teenager?
So, one of the biggest challenges I faced in my career was shaving my head. I shaved my head for Stranger Things when I got cast as number 9 in season 4. And when I shaved it, I was literally in the middle of 6th grade. And I was trying so hard to make so many friends. And then, boom, I did something to myself that was kind of abnormal. And I couldn't tell anyone why I did that for almost like a year and a half because of the NDA, and Stranger Things was really strict with that. And so it was really, really challenging of just having to walk around with a pixie cut in middle school with people asking so many questions. And I really wanted to just tell them in the face, it's because I was on Stranger Things, but I couldn't. And so I just had to take that blow for the time being. And then when Stranger Things came out, it was a lot easier, you could say, because then people really understood why. But still, I was struggling with having short hair just because I prefer long hair on myself. And yeah, that was really hard. But hindsight, I'm so glad I did it because my hair was always going to grow back. But the opportunity of being on one of my favorite TV shows was a once in a lifetime thing. And I'm so glad that I did what I did.
So, what were you able to tell people? Could you tell them that it was because you got a role, or did you just have to make something up until Stranger Things came out?
Um, I could have told them it was for a job or an acting job, but that's not the route I took. I kind of went everywhere with what I told people because, I mean, my humor was a little wacko in middle school. And so I would tell people, like, oh, it's because I had to go to my grandma's house in Russia and she shaved my head for me. Or I would say, I'm on the next season of Mickey Mouse. And I was just all over. I was messing with everyone. It was so funny for me.
I love that. I love the unseriousness.
Yeah.
So, why do you think that there's a gap in roles available for actors in their teen years? Because we see a lot of, and I always think of like the Hunger Games or the Maze Runner movies where you have 20 somethings playing 16, 15 years old. How have you navigated that challenge where there's this gap of available roles for teenage actors?
Yeah, so I'm basically living in that gap right now because I'm 16 years old. And the reason why this happens is because child roles, like from 1 years old to like about 13, 14 years old, those roles are cast by kids probably those ages. But when you get to like 14 to like 19 years old, that's when young adults can look younger, play a younger role, and then set and casting directors don't have to work with the laws that basically say that child actors need to work a certain amount of time, but then they need to have a certain amount of time for school. And that just cuts the time that they have to work with us, which I guess can be difficult. for working on set and like needing us all the time, but then can't because we have to do schoolwork. And so it's just easier for the production teams to cast young adults who can play younger. And for me, the way I've navigated that is I've kind of been enjoying the gap. It was intense auditions, probably like 2 to 3 a week for a long time when I was younger, probably about like 3 to 4 years ago. But now I can definitely see the way it's slowed down, especially after the strike. And I've just been able to focus more on my personal life and my personal development and my relationships with my friends.
You're getting a chance to be a teenager because there is that
Yeah.
gap. You're finding the bright side of it. It's not a loss of work for you. It's a chance to be a high schooler.
Yeah. And that's so important too.
There is a lot of controversy in the film industry surrounding young actors. What can we do to combat these issues?
I think one of the biggest challenges that actors, especially young actors, face is the work and life balance. It can be really challenging to like maintain friendships that are long and lasting due to like the long hours we have to be on set for and the unpredictable nature of this industry, because we can get called to travel to another state with a less than 3 hour notice. And that's kind of extreme, but that's basically the point. And sometimes there just like isn't enough time for personal development and like social activities. And so to help with this, I've found that it's important to prioritize time for yourself outside of acting when in this industry, and engaging in activities like cheer and theater for me has helped me balance that work life thing that I have going on in this industry. That balance just helps me stay grounded. And another big thing that's helped me is just communication. Open communication with my parents has helped me a lot. And I feel comfortable going to them, and they can help me manage my schedules. They can help me take off some things. They can help me say no to auditions when I feel burnout and an overload of work. And I think the ability to manage that balance not only benefits me in the industry, but also in every aspect of life.
How has acting and trying to balance all of these things affected your friendships?
I've definitely seen, I wouldn't say fake friends, but just not long lasting friends that I thought were long lasting. I've seen those friendships fade, and it was painful in the moment, but it's hard to sustain like long lasting friendships with people who aren't long lasting material when I'm in and out of the state, when I'm in and out of school. And the real ones are the ones who would reach out to me and continue putting effort into those friendships. And I've had a lot of friends growing up who have come and gone, but I think it's benefited me in which I'm able to not put so much value on things working out with one specific person, and being able to let someone walk out of my life and not take it to heart, not take it so personally, and just be able to let them go and let and understand that people can expire. Some friends aren't meant forever, and what the value that they gave me when they were in my life is why they were in my life. And it's again helped me with that idea of detachment and letting things go.
I definitely think that's a lesson that every teenager learns the hard way at some point, is that no
Yeah.
matter how many times we say, we've been friends since this, like we're going to be friends forever, it's almost always never actually forever. And I think that's a very interesting dynamic to watch as I've gotten older, to see the people who I really thought were going to be there are not. And I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, after the release of Stranger Things Season 4, your social media, specifically your Instagram, had a huge spike in growth. How have you leveraged that, and has it impacted you in any way?
Yeah, so on the career side, I definitely leveraged that by releasing my single Villain, which kind of correlated with the storyline of Stranger Things. And I just used that growth to draw attention to the fact that I write songs. But at a more personal level, I did notice a lot of attention at school. A lot of people were asking me questions, and it was definitely a hot topic for a certain amount of time. And I'm not going to lie, I did love it. I loved being able to talk about it. And it was really great, but I did struggle with people coming in and like kind of wanting that, I guess, popularity out of being friends with me just because I was on Stranger Things. And it was hard for a certain amount of time to like try and figure out who's really my friend for me as a person or who's my friend for their own gain. But that was a lesson that I guess is going to come to a lot of people in life, and yeah, that's the main thing that I struggled with. But other than that, it was great.
So you go to a pretty normal high school, correct?
Correct.
Most actors now, child actors, do homeschool or online school. How has that changed the way that you go about your work and friendships and just everyday life?
So in middle school, sixth grade, I had to leave in the middle of the school year. I was going to public school, and in January, I left to go film Stranger Things. And then in seventh grade, and after I left, I was homeschooled for the rest of the school year because the way my school worked, they wouldn't let me come back into in-person school. It would be too many changes for them and for me. And then in seventh grade, it was the same thing, but for Renfield. Halfway through the school year, when I thought I was really settling down, it got turned around last minute, and then I had to go back onto online school again. And then eighth grade, I went into online school again because public school was getting a lot for my mental health. And then finally in ninth grade, I'm starting to get older. That gap in which teens don't get a lot of roles was starting to come about for me. And then I went through my first full school year, finally in ninth grade, and I didn't have to leave or go online or anything. And honestly, online school does not work out for me just because I'm such a big extrovert, and I would always miss the extracurriculars and my friends and just seeing people in the hallways and hallway crushes, for God's sakes, and choosing outfits for school every morning. That was definitely something I missed. But I know for other people, the homeschool life works a lot better for them. But yeah, it was definitely hard thinking that I was settling down and then having to pack up my things and go in the middle of the school year for like almost 4 years straight.
That's very intense. That's a lot of change to go through, especially at that age in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
You're already going through so many changes, and then
Yeah.
you add on that your life is getting twisted around every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's very intense. So, as you have grown up in the industry and you've worked on these different sets, who are your role models in the industry, and who have you had a chance to learn from, and what did they teach you?
My role models have always been Dove Cameron, Ariana Grande, and Tate McRae. Those are just the top three girls that come to mind. And specifically, I love Dove Cameron because of the way that she kind of broke off her identity that she had when she was on Disney and created one more authentic to who she is, which shocked the world, definitely. But at least she's living a life that's authentic to who she is. And I love that for her. It's so inspiring. With Dove Cameron, no. With Ariana Grande, her aesthetic is to die for. Her scent and her perfume are to die for. Her music is so girly, but she also has that pop and rap in it. And I just love everything about her style. And it's all true to who she is. And she's not afraid to change that if she feels like it. And with Tate McRae, I've been watching her on YouTube since like I think 2018 or 2019, when she was just writing songs in her bedroom with a simple piano, electric piano, and simple electric piano chords. And she went from uploading those on YouTube to her couple thousand followers to like a world-known pop star, showing up on billboards and going on tour. And it was so inspiring to just watch from a third-person perspective her whole journey of starting in one place, which is so relatable, to achieving her dreams.
I love all three of them. Tate, I just went to her concert a couple of months ago in August, and it was amazing.
Lucky.
I I love her energy. She's so much fun. She's such a great performer, and I remember growing up watching her on So You Think You Can Dance, and oh my gosh, I loved her when I was younger. She's one of my favorites, so I love that. What waves do you hope to make through your work?
I hope that I can inspire girls to be their authentic selves when it comes down to living their dreams and expressing their art, their feelings, their brand through music, through acting, through what they do, and having the confidence in themselves to do that.
I love that, and that is something we talk about here all the time. You released your debut single for a charity at age 11, which provided 14,000 meals for your community, which I did not know this until I was doing research for this episode. I cannot believe that. What inspired you to use your music for this cause?
I've always felt for those who aren't promised food every day, who aren't promised a meal every day, who don't know if they're going to be able to even just eat tomorrow. And sometimes we can take just food for granted without even noticing it. And so I knew that releasing a song for charity had the potential to change lives. And that was enough to just like compel my heart to make that happen and make that a reality for people.
I love that. I love that you are not only making waves right now, but you've been doing it for a very long time. What advice would you give to teenagers interested in pursuing acting or releasing their own music?
I would advise them to focus on their own path. In this industry, everyone has something going on. Everyone has something going for them. Everyone is posting their craft and what's recently been happening online and on social media, and it can be so easy to be sucked into other people's success and hearing that, oh, this girl who's 2 years younger than you already posted and released her album and her first album, and you haven't even had a single out yet. And it can be so easy to compare your progress with other people's progress in this industry, not only with songwriting, but with acting jobs and follower counts, because all of that's just based off of social media and your name and your fame. And comparing yourself to other people in the industry, you risk losing that belief in yourself that, hey, you can do it too. And yeah, focusing on your own path just helps you keep that motivation and that drive to keep going.
So, looking back, what is one thing you wish you knew when you started?
Honestly, I don't think there's anything I wish I knew more than what I did at the time that I started. I think when I started this whole acting and singing and songwriting journey, I had the right amount of ambition. I had the passion, the drive. It was all there. And I think if I knew anything more than just having that to get me to start, it could have messed things up. And I'm glad with how things have been turning out. So
So, you talked about before about staying focused on your own path. How do you stay motivated and inspired? What keeps you going?
definitely remembering that I'm running my own race and I'm on my own timeline. And same thing like with trying to not compare myself to other people. Just remembering that there's no rush to get to the places I want to be in life. And it's honestly been a while since I've sat down and actually written a song. And I went from writing songs back to back every single day of the week to not writing anything. And I see these people that were working at the same level, not same level, but like they were in the same place when it came down to the career. And I've seen them skyrocket and they have songs and albums and singles out. And I still have two singles out. And reminding myself that, hey, there's no rush to get to where they are. There's no rush to get back into the singing and songwriting. Like when that motivation and drive sparks back in me, that's when it'll be most natural and most enjoyable. And so right now I've really just been focusing on my personal life and my relationships with my friends and family. And when that spark comes back into me, it'll come back. And there's just no rush. I'm on my own timeline.
I love that. I think it's so easy, like you said, with social media right now. We see people like Katie Fang, who has over 8 million followers at 18 and is living alone in a
Yeah.
penthouse, or Sofia Casablanco, who makes six figures at 18 years old. And it's so easy to compare yourself and your success to these people and forget that you're just 16, you're just 17. Like, you have so much time ahead of you to achieve those things.
Yeah.
So, how do you plan to continue making waves in the future?
Hopefully, I'll be able to inspire girls the way that my idols, Dove Cameron, Tay McRae, Ariana Grande, and so many more, Tam Carr, Scarlett Fraser. I hope I'll be able to inspire girls the same way they inspired me to pursue my passions and to grow confidence in myself and achieve the things I want to do in life. Hopefully I can do that through my music, through content that I can definitely see myself making, whether it's short advice videos on TikTok or just sitting down and going live on Instagram, or even a podcast like what you do. I just hope I can make that same impact on so many more girls and guys in the future through my art and craft.
I love that because that's exactly what we do here. And that's the reason that I have been interviewing so many teenagers, is because I think there's so many young people who want to inspire others to become the best version of themselves, but they don't have an outlet for that.
Yeah.
And so doing interviews like this give people a chance to explain their wisdom and share their thoughts and feelings. For this week's homework, if you had to start over, what is the first step you would take? Or what can listeners do right now to implement what we discussed?
First step I would take personally would be to not stop dancing when I started all of this acting business career stuff. I do miss dancing so much, and I'm in the theater program with my school right now, and in the little dances that we get to do, I just find that spark reigniting. And with cheer, whenever we learn like a filler dance, I find that spark reigniting, and I wish I stuck with it because I've lost flexibility and a little bit of the skills that I had when I did dance, but I definitely wish that, or I would have continued that instead of just focusing mainly on acting. I would have pursued the acting as much as I did, but still with the dance up my sleeve.
And what can listeners do right now to implement what we discussed?
I think it would be pretty beneficial if the listener just took a moment to take into consideration their own personal achievements and successes along their own journey in life. This can help boost your confidence even just for that short amount of time, and just remind yourself that, hey, like, I've been through so much. I've won so many battles in the past, and no matter how hard it got for me, I'm still here. And just remembering everything that you've done for yourself, all the ways that you've hugged yourself, all the ways that you've carried yourself out of really difficult situations, and just focusing on your own story for a brief moment can reignite sparks within yourself that you never thought would have been there again. And just focusing on what you want out of this life and trying to remember all the things that you've done can help you get to the life of your dreams.
That has to be one of my favorite homeworks somebody has ever given, because it is so easy to forget about the progress that you've already made, and just looking back at the things you've already done and celebrating the little things. I love that.
Yay, thank you.
Well, Chloe, thank you so much for joining me. Where can listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had such an amazing time talking about all the ways that we can help other teenage girls grow. And I love what your podcast is for. So I really appreciate you having me. You can go ahead and follow me on my Instagram at Chloe Adona. That's CHLOEADONA.
Amazing. And thank you so much for listening. If you love this podcast and you want to show your support, please leave a rate and review. Be sure to follow this show so you never miss another episode, as well as follow me on social media at the Moanna Adams or the podcast at wavemaker.media. Don't forget to drink your water, and I will talk to you later.